Hey again, great to have you there for our Grizzlies team preview. 10 points on the new look Grizz. I'm Matt Weiner, Sam Mitchell, Tony Delk right there. Before we look forward, we should acknowledge the end of an era in the grindhouse. 7 straight playoff seasons for the Grizzlies. These teams with a blue-collar ethos and understated stars like Conley and Gasol. They got as far as the Western Conference Finals, never reached the NBA Finals. How should history remember these Memphis Grizzlies teams?
I mean, just a team that, like we said, they grinded out. They played excellent defense. They had good offensive play. But you have a player like Mike Conley. We talked about how important that point guard position is. He knew how to run a team. He knew how to get the guys in the right place. He was an exciting player because he not only was involved with the team, he was also involved with organizations outside of basketball. So he was a right ambassador for Memphis at the time.
Well, I just think when you look at that team, what I remember vividly about the grindhouse was the coach, man, Lionel Howard. You know, and then you look at players that he brought in like Tony Allen, guys that were kind of on the outside looking in when they played in Boston, but he was able to get a collection of players and bring them to that system. Memphis, the city embraced them. He gave them that name, Grindhouse, and that's how they won basketball. They just grind you into the ground. They played so hard and so physical, they would just wear you down, and it wasn't pretty. You know, they didn't have the great offensive numbers. Right. They didn't run up and down the court and shoot a lot of threes. They just figured out how to win and grind out wins for games. But you remember them for that. But again, to your point, they could never really get over the hump because they were always missing something.
Right.
But they had a great run while they had it. But now it's a new era.
But for a few years at their peak, they were one of those teams that nobody in the West wanted to see in a playoff series.
You didn't want to play them in the regular season because they beat you up.
Right. Well, the better teams were probably going to win the series, but they weren't going to feel good about themselves.
But it also became a half-court game where they were really good at, like you said, grinding was they could guard you in the half-court. And as the playoffs start, it becomes a half-court game.
Right.
So you must have guys that can defend their position, and that's what they did an excellent job of.
Well, Gasol, Conley, Zach Randolph, Tony Allen, Rudy Gay, all out of the picture. The Grizzlies are turning the page, and by trading Conley and drafting Murray State's Ja Morant with the 2nd overall pick, the team is turning the franchise over to the young guys. Morant spoke with our Ro Parrish.
Of course, Ja Morant joins us, the number 2 overall pick in the draft, recently became a father, recently had a birthday, a lot of good things going on in life. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. Just very excited.
No doubt about that. So recently, how's your health? You've been cleared to play. How's the knee feeling going into training camp?
I'm 100% now, no pain. I'm actually feeling a little better than before, leaving the floor a little faster and feel like I'm jumping higher. So,
you know, last time we spoke, it was on the red carpet at the draft. Now, aside from becoming a father, what's been the most impactful thing that's happened to you since you've been drafted?
Really just getting with the guys and just being able to learn from them. Obviously, having some big brothers like on the team, vets, that's helped me with the process.
So you talk about those veterans. We know that you've been with Jaren Jackson. I saw you two together hanging out a lot during the summer league. What veterans have you been leaning on, and who has helped you the most since the transition has been made to Memphis?
I feel like we all really just help each other, honestly. But I guess with like my position, I would say Tyus, because he's been in the league for a while and kind of proved himself. And I'm just excited to continue to learn from him and get better and both just push each other and really to get on the floor with him.
So you talked about the workouts that you had in South Carolina in the backyard with your pops. How do the NBA workouts compare with those that you and your dad once had? I
would say probably not too many negative things being said. My dad was never the type to tell me anything positive, so him just pushing me real hard, but talking is probably the difference.
So a lot more positivity, you say, coming in the NBA workouts as opposed to the ones with your dad.
Yeah.
So Memphis is legendary for having the grindhouse mentality as far as their identity goes. How is that going to change now that you have Taylor Jenkins coming in? How do they plan to unleash your repertoire upon the NBA?
I feel like it won't change as much. I feel like we all got on the same page, just trying to be a very competitive team who's unselfish and play together, and really just getting out there and playing with each other. We all know we can play, so just going out there to have fun and just play with each other.
Of course, I have to ask you about Zion. You two were famously once teammates back in the day. Now you two are in the NBA, the top 2 picks, playing in the same divisions. Have you had any conversations with Zion? And if so, could you share with the audience?
I haven't had any really since after the draft. Both of us just congratulating each other on finally making it out of South Carolina and achieving our goals. Since day one, it was both of our goals to try to make it to the NBA, just to put the state of South Carolina on the map, and we both did that.
So South Carolina is definitely on the map. So, of course, you have the utmost confidence in yourself. However, if Ja Morant does not win Rookie of the Year, who's taking that trophy?
That's tough. I know most people would want me to say Zion. That's my brother, but I just feel like it's very a lot of talented rookies in the league coming in this year. I feel like it's one of the best class coming in, so it's hard to say.
So once you get on the court, I saw recently you became a Nike athlete. What are the shoes of choice that you're going to be rocking with on the court?
It's going to be a lot, but today I have on some customized Nike Adapts.
So as far as team goals go and individual goals, what are some that you could share with us for this season?
I would say team goal is just go out there and play hard and compete and come out with some wins together playing as a team. And individual, I really don't set too many of those, honestly. I just try to do whatever I can to help the team win. So I would say my goal is probably to just get better each and every game and be better at the end of the year than I was at the beginning.
No doubt about it. Take it one game at a time. Congratulations on all your success and good luck this season. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Ja Morant, a great college career at Murray State, first player in NCAA history with a 2010 season average when assists are taken into account because they hadn't tracked them that long. He's now paired with Jackson. How compatible are they as a duo to ride into the future?
Well, first of all, let's correct him. He's talking about putting South Carolina on the map. He and Zion Williams. Young fella. Kevin Garnett, ever heard of him? From Malden, South Carolina. Alex English from Columbia, South Carolina. So, young fella, you and Zion can do y'all part of bringing more notoriety to South Carolina, but they're already on the map. To your point, I like those two pieces. Anytime Tony knows this, anytime you can start your franchise with what you think is an elite point guard and a big guy, whether he's a center, a power forward, a 6'10", 6'11" guy, you got something. Those are the building blocks of your franchise. And when you look at Ja Morant, how athletic he is, the fact that he can go where he wants to go, it appears to be anywhere on the court. And so you got to be excited from that standpoint because you got your two biggest positions filled, a big guy in Jackson and then a point guard, especially in the Western Conference. When you look at the depth and how good those guys are, you need a freak of an athlete in today's NBA to play that position.
And you are right when you talk about he was the second most exciting player behind Zion Williamson in college basketball, the way he attacked the basket. But just his playmaking ability is something that's really going to surpass him as being one of the top players in the league. Not starting out because, like I said, they're a young team. They're going to go through their growing pains. But with his excitement and then just having JJ inside, he can also pick and pop. You have a long athletic player. So two good cornerstones for the Memphis Grizzlies, and that's what's going to make them a good team.
Well, they've got a new coach there as well. Taylor Jenkins comes from the Greg Popovich coaching tree. He was an assistant under Mike Budenholzer in Atlanta and Milwaukee. Analytics friendly, says he really wants his staff to be a collaboration. How can he get the franchise going in the right direction?
I mean, just a great guy. You think about the culture that he's come from, 10 years as an assistant, coming under the San Antonio Spurs organization. He understands what it takes to win championships. And then having worked under Mike Budenholzer, you know, those guys understand how important shooting is, floor spacing, but then being able to play great defense. And what I found out about Taylor, he's a gym rat. He loves to watch film. He has good character, great energy. And when you have a young team, a coach has to bring the energy with him.
You better get some players. Let me tell you how you find out. Look, coaches can coach, but you got to have players. So to me, Taylor Jenkins, he's put his time in. He's been an assistant coach for over 10 years. But the key is going to be that front office. Can they draft and develop the right players?
Jonas Valanciunas gets his first grip.
Jaren Jackson's been fantastic.
This guy is really comfortable out there.
Jaren Jackson is growing fast.
Jaren for three, yes, and a foul! What a shot by the rookie. Jackson Jr. 3 is good!
He has
been scintillating tonight. We are watching a young player blossom in front of our eyes.
Jaren Jackson, a huge part of this young group moving forward. As things stand, there are only 2 players in their 30s on the Memphis roster. One of them is Andre Iguodala, who the team allowed to skip training camp as the two sides try to figure out what is next for him, likely a buyout, you would think. The other is Miles Plumlee, now with his 6th franchise in 8 seasons. Part of the busy offseason also included acquiring Josh Jackson, the 4th pick of the draft just 2 years ago. But guys, he's going to begin the season with the G League team, which is interesting. We'll get into his situation in just a moment. Looking at this roster overall, what stands out for you?
Just the 2 J's, J.A. and J.J. Look, and then Jonas Valanciunas. Look, he is a good asset in this team. He's young. I liked him in Toronto. He can score inside. He's big. He's added the 3-point shot to his repertoire. So when you look at those 3 young players right there, the future's not that bad when you look at Memphis. The only thing tough for Memphis, Tony, when I look at this team, they're in the Western Conference. You know, because they got some veterans, they got some good young talent, but they're in a brutal, when you're talking about the West, man, it is brutal from top to bottom. There are no easy wins. So when I look at this Memphis team, they may be much better and improved, coaching and playing, but the wins may not show.
I think, being in a difficult conference, you got to have guys that come to play every night. And when you have young players, they bring energy for about 3 quarters. And bad teams find a way to lose a game in the 4th quarter, which you know this. But when this team comes together collectively, they're going to take a lot of losses this year. But with your young guys, you give them a chance to get experience and get to let those guys get some games under their belt. But when it comes down to playing against the best competition in the West, they're going to lose a lot of games.
Josh Jackson's an interesting case. It was a low-risk acquisition for them. For him, he's at a crossroads in his career, just 2 years in, starting the season with the G League team. What does he have to do to prove himself in a situation where if he can play, he's going to find minutes?
He has to be the athlete that we've seen him be when he was in college, and also we've seen spurts of that with the Phoenix Suns, but he has to be a consistent shooter from the outside, and with that athleticism, he should be able to guard a lot of good players on the perimeter. So he really needs to focus on what's his role to this team and how can he excel and be a better player.
Speaking of athleticism, Brandon Clark can really bounce. He's going to have some fun moments. They may not win a lot of games, but he's going to.
I look at Josh Jackson and I say this. You don't change until you hit rock bottom. If you're a lottery pick and now you're starting the season in the G League, I think you're at rock bottom. So the only way he can go is up now.
Hard to argue against that. All right, up next, an all-access look at Grizzlies.
Yeah, long time no speak. How you doing, Taylor? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Is a hot dog a sandwich? That's a good question.
Start of a new season and always the way to kick it off and get the whole group here together finally. It's awesome. So, can't wait to, shed what we're all going to be about to the city of Memphis today.
How would you describe the city? Like, just going around and, what do you think of it?
Yeah, first off, people here are super nice. That's probably my favorite thing about it.
What makes me most excited about this season is our blend of young veterans and our blend of talent that we have to mesh that together, and it's going to be a fun, exciting one.
OG, what they got you doing, OG?
I'm a ball boy.
OG! I'm a dunker. Okay. I won a dunk contest in high school.
All right, well, there it is. Let's see it.
Too much of a dunker, apparently.
Go.
Ball time! Ball time!
That boy's goofy.
Big ball time! No.
I never worked no 9 to 5. It's the double shots when I ride.
Yeah, he's a guitar player. I play the drums.
It's not hard. It's just.
It's actually, no.
What?
No. It's like that. It stays standing up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Your lips supposed to rub around.
Yeah, your lips wrap around. Like that. Yeah, see? It hangs down. Yeah. Okay.
Get your right lip.
Yeah, your right lip.
Your right
you don't have your right one around it.
This one?
No, that's perfect. This side. Yeah. Doesn't it feel better now?
Yeah.
You like I'm drooling.
Yeah, you will drool.
You going?
Here, we got a towel.
Lock in on that right now.
Yeah.
It's your best friend. Use it right now.
And go. Go. That's a wrap. A wrap on media day.
All right. job. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you guys.
Hey, welcome to day one. I want to challenge you guys right now to make it hard on yourselves. Don't take the easy way out.
Training camp's always important. I think it's a great way to kick off the season and really just kind of start focusing on your habits. It's been something I've been saying since the day I got here in Memphis.
Be super active, but we got to be disciplined. You got to be disciplined on the ball with that pride and to know your responsibility behind it. Okay? We're a team defense. We're not a one-on-one defense. Everything needs to be contested. Team should not get an open shot. So we got to read, react. We got to give multiple efforts, especially in transition. It's the hardest thing. Spacing is going to be huge. So we have driving lanes. We know where our shooters are. That's important. Behind all that stuff, it's freedom to play. You guys be basketball players. You screen for each other, you pick and roll, you drive, you kick. It's really simple at the end of the day. It's a 2-pass drill. It's going to pass it to Grayson right in the middle of the floor. You two guys are running. We mess up, we run. On the line. If we want to be any good offensively, defensively, me, myself, I got to communicate. We got to communicate. Half court back, full court back.
From day one, how are we going to work? How are we going to work together? What are our habits going to be on the offensive end, on the defensive end, in the training room, getting all staff and players together to set a tone for the start of the season.
What is the most important thing we're about in Memphis? We compete, all right? This is the most competitive drill we're going to do. It's my favorite drill. Compete, get each other better. Black's got 2. Stop for the win! Good, Black, you're off. Everyone on the baseline.
Good work, Black.
The biggest tone that we want to set is our competitive environment. Training camps always breed competitiveness, but we want that to be something that we sustain, not just in the first, few days of the season, but carried all the way to the end of the season.
It's just, like you said, competition, and it's healthy. That's how you get better, not only individually, but as a team, is healthy competition.
We talk about our 3 pillars of competing and playing together and getting better every single day, especially with a lot of young guys, but I think even with our vets, it's something that we want to instill from day one, knowing that each individual comes in with that competitive mentality, but then how as a unit are we going to do that? How are we going to compete on the practice floor? How are we going to compete in the training room? How are we going to compete in our scouting process? And that all leads up to how we compete on a night in, night out basis come game time. So for these young guys to start getting that, understanding of how important competitiveness is, that's super important for us to start here in year one.
We'll get to more scrimmaging as camps and preseason goes on. The biggest message I have for y'all, all right, number 1, we got to communicate. Okay, there was a lack early, got better as we went on. That's got to be a staple of ours as a team. So take this as a mentality that we're going to have to carry from day one through the entire season. Compete, communicate, and realize the pace that you start feeling today. We got to keep improving on this session after session. All right, here we go. Defense on 3. 1, 2, 3. Defense. Hey, we're going scrimmage. Scrimmage, blue versus white. Blue, you're on this sideline right here with Coach Brad. White, you're on that sign over there with Coach David.
Great second day. We scrimmage a lot today, so you get to start seeing all the stuff, all the drill work that we're doing, all the things we're talking about, the habits. It's been great to see how it's translating into a competitive atmosphere.
We're starting off great, being competitive, making the gym real loud and a great atmosphere for us.
Good center. Good center. Get it deep. Let it flash. Good. Blue ball. Hey, forward. Yes, sir. Okay, bring it in. Hey, way to compete. Get better. We got to clean some stuff up right on the court, in our heads. We got to clean some stuff up. All right, let's come back, have a great night session tonight. We're going to clean up a lot of the stuff that we did today. I know we're putting in a lot of stuff, but as we're going through, like a fight through the fatigue, we got to push through. We're laying a great foundation right now. It's got to be mentally, and it's also got to be physically. All right, you're starting to realize how we want to play defensively, how we want to play offensively. Let that stuff sink in. Come back tonight, clean it up. We're going to have one practice tomorrow, but let's have a great night session tonight, all right? Here we go. Here we go.
Together. Family on three. 1, 2, 3.
And our thanks to Grind City Media. When we come back, what does this stage of the rebuilding project mean in terms of Memphis wins? The Grizzlies to the rebuild. 3 years ago, they were a winning team. Then Mike Conley got hurt, and last year the teardown began. Last 2 years, 22, 33 wins. The bar is set at 27.5. More or fewer?
More, but they better feast on the East when they play those teams.
Yes, the team in Tennessee will be disappointing, and I like it, but more.
More, all right. The threes, the pace, those things are probably going up. The wins, maybe not. We'll see it.